Emily, do you want to explain? Do you want to set up for us the what we embarked on recently?
Yes, so we went on an adventure to Second and Charles, which is Barnes and Noble's other bookstore. They do new and used books,
So,
games,
Books a
records.
Million, Books a Million's other
Oh,
one.
it's Books a Million.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's Books a Million other bookstore. They do new and used books, and then they also have like fun stuff in there too. So we went and we split up and we took stock of some of the books they have there.
Yeah, so we have books. We have our own predictions about how likely,
Yes.
we know each other well. We've been together going on 11 years now. How likely we think the other person is to read these books that we found semi-randomly in Second and Charles.
Yes.
I have not seen any of Emily's selections. Emily has not seen any of my selections, but we
hmm
will be presenting them to each other today. Emily will be ranking the books that I found on a list of 1 through 10, how likely she is to read them. And I will be ranking the books she found 1 through 10. Now, we also have made lists for our predictions for each other. So I have a predicted reading order for Emily, what she will choose, and she will have one for me. Now, bear with me on the math here, but I really wanted to make this a competition to kind of be a who knows who better type game. And
Maxwell is
so
so competitive,
I am.
and
I
I
am
am
very competitive.
so not competitive.
So basically, here's the way that the scoring is going to work at the end of this. We each start with 100 points. Let's say I put something as 1 that Emily put as 10. That's 9 away, so that's minus 9 points. So, however far away each choice is from our indicated position, the more gets subtracted from that
Mm.
100, and the person with the higher score at the end is going to win. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. I know you're not explaining it to me, but it makes sense now.
Yeah, no, I know. I hadn't explained it super well before. So, Em, let's go on. Let's go ahead and
I'm
get into it.
excited.
Our first uh, book here. This is by
Okay.
Jonathan Lethem. This is called Dissident Gardens. Now, how
Oh.
are you feeling about this cover? I mean, we're not really into ranking yet, but how's this looking to you?
It's probably not a book I would have picked up.
Hmm.
It's kind of got the trendy color blocking going on,
Yeah.
but the buildings don't really interest me.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead and flip to the back here and read the dust jacket or the this
hmm
little section. Um, Rose Zimmer, the aptly nicknamed Red Queen of Sunnyside, Queens, is an unreconstructed communist who savages neighbors, family, and political comrades with the ferocity of her personality and the absolutism of her beliefs. Her equally passionate and willful daughter, Miriam, flees Rose's influence for the dawning counterculture of Greenwich Village. Despite their differences, they share a power to enchant the men in their lives. Rose's aristocratic German Jewish husband, Albert, her feckless chess hustler cousin, Lenny, Cicero Lookins, the brilliant son of her black cop lover, Miriam's slightly fraudulent Irish folk singer husband, Tommy Gogan, and their bewildered son, Sergius. Through Letham's vivid storytelling, we come to understand that the personal may be political, but the political, even more so, is personal.
I am so lost.
Yeah, I think that's
I
a
have
natural
no
reaction.
I have no idea what that could possibly be about.
So this is
Um,
a this to me. I read this as this is a mother and daughter who are like socialists in some way. They're communists,
mhm.
and they also have the ability to seduce the feckless men surrounding them,
Okay.
and they have descriptions of the races and ethnicities of each of the men, which I guess matters.
I had to pull it up on my phone because I can't read the text, even when I make it big
Oh
on
yeah, no
screen.
worries. Yeah, I
Um,
barely can honestly.
and I was going back to see like if it was like in the year of blah blah blah. but it doesn't say. So this could be modern.
I think it is modern.
Um,
I would guess that it is
okay.
modern. Yeah.
Well, I'm not very interested in this book, but I know this by the nature of the list for right now, it has to go at number
It
one.
will be at number one to start.
Okay.
Dissident
I like the title.
Gardens. It sounds like a kind of a regular book, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's like genreless in a way, which I guess I appreciate. It sounds like it's a little bit insufferable if it's written by a guy about two socialist women seducing the feckless
That
men
can
around
seduce
them.
men.
Yeah, I don't know. I have my doubts about its ability to execute, and we're not judging it
Yeah.
on its contents just by its cover. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to my next one. So we'll do all of mine first, and then we'll do all of Emily's.
Okay.
All right, Emily. Freedom Land. What do you think looking at this right now? It's gripping, it's heartbreaking, it's powerful.
It looks like this is about like all of the kids that get sex trafficked in America.
That sounds about right
Um
to me. Like, what was that movie that came out that Sound of Freedom with
yeah,
Jim
that's it
Caviezel?
literally well it's called Freedom Land. It looks like that and it I'm not I don't know.
But it's by the author of Clockers.
Oh, clockers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Clockers. So I'll go ahead and jump to the back here. Dazed and bleeding, Brenda Martin stumbles into a city hospital and tells an astonishing story. First about the black man who hijacked her car, then about her young son, who was asleep in the back seat. As the nation watches spellbound, frantic police descend on the housing projects, searching for a stolen child, tearing apart a neighborhood that doesn't need an excuse to explode. An edgy young reporter hustles her way into the eye of the storm. A good cop stands at an impossible spot, and soon all of the pain, hope, and madness of the heat soaked city will come pouring out into the streets because of a story that may be true or may be the most horrifying lie of all.
Wow.
Sounds like an evil book.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Yeah, this doesn't sound good to
It's
me.
it sounds very evil to me. The
Yeah,
fact
it
that in this
does.
one, when they specify that the person that hijacked is black on the back, that's
Hmm.
crazy. That is crazy to me.
A neighborhood that doesn't need an excuse to explode. It's like,
No,
okay,
where would you rank this? Freedom Land versus Dissident Gardens.
I second.
Okay, second, interesting. Silver medal. Cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the
Okay.
next one. This one is called Gold Diggers, a
Ooh, I like this
novel.
cover.
I also like this cover. I think it looks pretty cool.
I like the border. Well, I like the overall effect, but like it looks like a tapestry a little bit, and I like that.
Yeah, it's very nice. Um, cool. I'll go ahead and jump to the back here. This is kind of long, so bear
Okay.
with me. And sorry if I'm reading these, but it's tiny on my screen, so if I'm reading these poorly. But spanning two continents, two coasts, and four epochs, Gold Diggers expertly balances social satire and magical realism in a classic striver story that skewers the modern minority narrative, asking what a community must do to achieve the American dream. In razor sharp and deeply funny prose, Sanjana Sathian, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, perfectly captures what it is to grow up as a member of a family of a diaspora and of the American meritocracy. Gold Diggers both entertains and levels a critique of what Americans of color must do to make their way. A floundering second generation teenager growing up in the Bush era Atlanta suburbs, Neil Narayan is authentic, witty, and smart. He just doesn't share the same drive as everyone around him. His perfect older sister is headed to Duke. His parents' expectations for him are just as high. He tries to want this version of success, but mostly Neil just wants his neighbor across the cul-de-sac, Anita Dayal. But Anita has a secret. She and her mother, Anjali, have been brewing an ancient alchemical potion from stolen gold that harnesses the ambition of the jewelry's original owner. Anjali's own mother in Bombay didn't waste the precious potion on her daughter, favoring her sons instead. Anita, on the other hand, just needs a little boost to get into Harvard, but when Neil, who needs a whole lot more, joins the plot, events spiral into a tragedy that rips their community apart.
Okay. I'm fairly likely to read this book.
Yeah, I thought that was one sounded good. What do you like about
Yeah,
it?
so I'll put this at the top for sure.
Yeah.
I usually like books that span a long period of time, which this says 4 epochs, which I thought was like a unit of time, but now I'm like, maybe it's not. But I thought it meant like an age, you know?
It is. I think they're using it maybe loosely here, or there's more going on than we know.
Well, they talk about this original jewelry potion, and so maybe there's a little bit of like
Sure.
flashbacks or something. So honestly, I was like, I'm definitely more likely to read it than the other two, but the third paragraph really cinches it. I'm all down for reading about this like ancient potion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like adding in that fantastical element makes it sound like legitimately pretty fun.
Hmm.
All right, you ready to move on?
I
We're
am.
flying through them here. So this is When Darkness Ends by
Number
Alexandra
one.
Ivy. um, so I'll go ahead. Emily, cover. Give it to me.
A cover. I would listen to this book.
Okay.
I'm a little bit.
Any critiques, any notes?
Oh, critiques.
I mean, whatever, positive, negative.
I don't like his sweater.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice his sweater. See, that's why I
He's wearing a
asked.
cable knit sweater with buttons, which just doesn't seem to fit. What I took at first was like a fantasy vibe.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking at it up close and it's a regular cable knit cardigan.
Well, just notice that sort of knitting pattern on his sweater, the sort of overlapping, effect that some of those stitches have,
Yeah.
and see if maybe that makes a little bit more sense once you learn a thing or two about him.
Well, he's also got braids in his hair, so
He has
maybe that
braids in
has
his hair.
something to do with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, Sin, the vampire clan chief of Ireland, is an unabashed hedonist whose beauty is surpassed only by his insatiable appetite for pleasure. It's no wonder he's furious when he's transported from the magical land of the pure-blooded Fays, evil castle, only to have his very existence thrown into a chaos that even he cannot charm his way out of. Most women may be all but powerless against Sin, but Fallon, a sharp-witted fairy princess, is less than beguiled by the silver-tongued vampire. She is a serious soul with no time for the sort of games he plays, especially when they learn that someone is trying to close the veil that separates the dimensions. But seduction may prove the most powerful force of all, as attraction ignites between the unlikely pair even as worlds are colliding around them.
I know this book isn't good,
Right.
but I would read it.
Would you? Yeah,
Yeah, I would read this book.
I found another book like that for myself, but I actually think
Oh,
the book that I found for myself, is probably better than this one.
yeah.
To be honest,
I I feel like this reminds me a lot of The Witcher, honestly, which
yeah, yeah,
I think I've said it on the pod before. I'm going to say it again. I do think that male authors should not be horny, but this is a woman author,
yeah.
and they're allowed.
They're allowed, and that I think that's maybe led to a huge skewing of the market for books. Um,
Yeah.
in recent years. And where would you put this one here?
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
But I think I might put this. I know it's a bad book, but I think I might put it as number one because I feel like I could listen
Really?
to this in like 2 days. And while Gold Diggers did get me with the last paragraph, I could also see it being kind of annoying.
Okay. Alrighty.
Whereas
Um,
this, I know what I'm getting into, and I'm not expecting this to change my life.
right. And this was called what? When Darkness Ends? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I know this is such a
So
bad book.
number one.
I would probably regret that. I'm sure Gold Diggers is better written.
I'm also sure that Gold Diggers is better written.
Am I allowed to edit this at the end, like when I have all 10? Like, can I make final adjustments?
Yeah, I feel like that's fine. If
Okay,
you like, yeah,
okay,
yeah, I
just in
feel like that's
case.
fine. Yeah. Uh, okay, this is one called Backslash.
This looks like a book that you would have around the house. because it kind of
Okay.
has an Elmore Leonard title.
In a way.
It looks tech-y in a way. It also looks like this could be based on like a true story. It's just like it has like that vibe to me for some reason.
The blurb says ultra
Um,
cool, swiftly paced, gives new meaning to the words computer error.
I would it's a cyber thriller. I can't say I've ever read one of those before. So I would read the back of this book. I would
Yeah,
turn it
let's
over.
check it out. Let's check it out. It starts with unexplained glitches in the US banking system. It spreads throughout the international business community. A cyber terrorist has done the unthinkable by seizing control of the worldwide information network. He has the power to close airports at will, paralyze telephone communications across continents, stop the sales of weapons, and put a stranglehold on arms delivery systems on land and sea.
Okay, I
As
think he should do it.
Yeah, I know, right? Go ahead and activate.
Go
Um,
ahead.
Press enter. As the global community marshals its forces against this insidious threat, FBI Special Agent Luann Russell turns to Casey Conrad, a renegade computer genius she once helped put in jail. Trusting no one around them, not even each other, Russell and Conrad enter a maze of treachery, violence, and intrigue that reaches from the highest levels of government and industry to a single computer screen. And with the web tightening like a noose on the world infrastructure, the ultimate terror is only one command away. I like that last line.
Hit enter if you dare.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I do not care.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I think it's so funny to be like, I gotta go get this hacker that I put in jail.
Yeah, it's
Save the
very
day.
it's like the lame Silence of the Lambs concept. Like, oh, I put away a serial
Yes.
killer who understands serial killers. Like, I put away a hacker.
Yeah.
Uh,
He was the guy running.
don't bring that up.
Oh,
Chill.
okay, maybe you can bleep that.
I actually will find a way to bleep that,
Okay.
but yeah, there's some useful websites out there for people who don't have a lot of money but want to watch things.
Anyways,
Normal things, normal consumer,
basketball.
yeah,
Just say it.
basketball, who want to watch basketball. Um, but okay, where would
Um,
you put this on our list here?
I put this under Gold Diggers above. No, no, no. I put this under Dissident Gardens, but above Freedom Land.
Okay, so we've got back. Where is a backslash? I never ever use that key.
Isn't that a forward slash?
No, that's a backslash. You need no look no further
Then
than our
okay, I
book.
guess so.
I will go ahead and say, I know you said this seems like a book I would have. I hate hacker stuff. Like, it feels like
Well,
there's no rules and anybody can just do anything.
I didn't know it was a hacker book when I said that.
Oh, okay, okay. I guess that's fair. I kind of had guessed it when I picked it up just based off of the green on black and the font. But and in my mind, Elmore Leonard is somebody who's very like connected to the physical. Like everything is like simple and blue
Hmm.
collar in his stuff usually. But okay, cool. Yeah, backslash. So we got When Darkness Ends, Gold Diggers, Dissident Gardens, backslash, Freedom Land, and then The Kaisho by
Okay.
Eric Lustbader. Um,
Okay. Now,
yeah.
I just have to say, I have no idea what this is about, but I really, really cannot get to the end of this with When Darkness Ends being at the top. Um, it seems like there's a haunted mask.
Yeah, I would agree. No
Maybe like a
denying.
kabuki mask or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kaisho sounds Japanese.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So, a debt of honor has come due, and Nicholas Linear, the ninja, has vowed to pay it in full. Years ago, he made a promise to his father. If a man named Mikio Okami ever sought his help, he would respond without question, no matter the cost. Now the time has come to fulfill his pledge and meet his destiny. Mikio Okami is the Kaisho, the boss of bosses of the Yakuza, the Japanese underworld. In his Venice headquarters, he realizes that he has been marked for death, but the identity of the assassin and the inexorable compulsion that drives him are shrouded in mysticism and madness. Honor bound to protect Okami, Lanier is prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice, a descent into a chasm of knowledge so potent, of dangers so unfathomable, that even if he survives, he will emerge changed forever.
Hmm. Imagine that your dad
Mm-hmm.
was dying and he's like, son, if a man named Mikio Okami ever comes, you have to help
I'd be
him.
like, Dad, you've had a much different life than I thought you did.
My son, Nicholas,
I know. Hold on, I'll go back
the
here because what I
ninja.
really like here is that this is a Nicholas Lanier novel, who's not the author. The author is Eric Lustbader,
Oh,
so this is part of a series. So he's always probably getting into things. So like, this is like probably the yakuza genre, right? Of his stuff.
hmm. And his name is Nicholas, and he's a ninja.
Is he a ninja? Yeah, the ninja. He is the ninja.
Yeah. Okay. All
Okay, you're right.
right.
Yeah,
Um, I could see this being good,
it's very
maybe.
like pulp. Like it's very like this sort of like trade paperback detective fictions.
I think I would like it more if it was a haunted mask.
Who knows? Like I guess there's no real indication of anything like supernatural going on here, but
Yeah. Well, okay. I
like more of
think
like an
I would
international
read.
thriller.
I think for now I'm going to put this below Dissident Gardens,
Okay.
above Backslash. Ugh. If this was my like my to
What
read
was it called?
list,
Is this what it was called?
the Kaisho. Yeah.
Cool.
What year did this come out? I'm curious.
I don't know. I don't know if we can see that without looking in the
Yeah,
jacket.
probably not. It has the look of like the a lot of the books that came out at this time where they're like kind of smaller and like very portable.
Yeah, I didn't want to give it away while I was before you had kind of placed it, but this is the one that I was saying that like didn't look that like great literarily that I would still read because I
Yeah.
like this kind of genre, this like international crime thriller. Like I grew up reading like the Hardy Boys, and I really
Hmm.
love like A Coffin for Demetrios, and it feels kind of that a little bit to me,
Yeah.
even if
This
it's a
might creep up. This might creep up my list as we go along because it probably is like a simple like story that could
right.
if this is like this might be this guy's thing. Like if you had to read a James Patterson book, like it would
Sure.
probably be fine because there's like a formula, like they're bestsellers, like
Right, yeah.
it might scratch a lot of the same as like that, if you just have to read one.
Yeah, and unlike a James Patterson book, this was probably actually written by the author on the cover.
That's a
So,
good point.
um, all right, you ready?
I think so.
Cool. Citizen Girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Senorita
Uh,
Awesome.
yes, exactly. By the author of the best-selling The Nanny Diaries. And
Can't
it
say
looks
I've
like
heard of
there's
that.
two authors credited here. Emma McLaughlin and Nicola Krauss. Uh, Emily, any takeaways from the cover, the front cover?
It's a bad cover.
It's pretty bland.
And I guess they also both write the Nanny Diaries.
I know, right? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
the authors. Okay, alrighty.
Hmm. So that's interesting. I just think that like this coffee cup looks like it's trash already. Like it looks like it's going into the garbage, and so it's like
You
I
don't think
don't
it's
really
new?
like
You
it
don't
on
think
the
there's
cover.
coffee in there?
It just doesn't like I don't know, maybe like with the background too, it just like
Okay,
looks like this is pre-garbage.
okay, alrighty. Working in a world where a college degree qualifies her to make photocopies of color coordinated file folders, 24-year-old girl is struggling to keep up with the essential trinity of food, shelter, and student loans. So when she finally lands the job of her dreams, she ignores her misgivings and concentrates on getting the job done, whatever that may be. Sharply observed and devastatingly funny, Citizen Girl captures the biting accuracy of what it means to be a young female in the new economy, a personal glimpse into an impersonal world. Citizen Girl is edgy and heartfelt, an entertaining read that is startlingly relevant.
That's so real, but also like there's nothing that grabs me. I don't want to read about my life.
That's kind of my thought on these sorts of things too, and I was curious if you had a similar perspective. Even the fact like that she's named Girl is just like insert self, right? Like
Hmm.
24-year-old making photocopies with student loans. It's just a little, not that everything needs to be escapism, but talking about things that
Hmm.
expose you to new worlds and perspectives and things like that. This seems like it's supposed to be the every girl.
You know, there's a book that I love called Disorientation, and it's
Yeah.
kind of funny because I feel like it's like taking the base premise of like like she's like a PhD student who's like really struggling with her dissertation and like that could be like a very relatable experience for some. Obviously not everyone gets their PhD, but like being in school, feeling very unmotivated, being in a relationship you don't like, but it takes such an absurdist twist that it became a book that I like loved. And I just
Yeah.
feel like there's probably a twist here, right, with like whatever this job is that she gets. But like it needs to give me something on the back cover for me to even want to find out like what the twist is.
It says it's sharply observed and devastatingly funny.
Right. So
Um,
I think I will put this. I think I would read this. Hmm. It's somewhere. I'm deciding if it's gonna come after the Kai show or after Backslash, but I think it's gonna go after Kai show.
okay.
That seems right to me, I think. I gotta tweak my list. I don't like that that's still
You'll
at the
figure it out. You'll
top.
figure it out. We'll give you a second
Yeah.
afterward.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Here's the next
Okay.
one. So,
Now,
Emily,
is this
no, this is not The President is Missing. Would you know that
no,
there is a sequel to
till
their
we found the president.
to no, this is the sequel. So there is The President is Missing, and then there's The President's Daughter by Bill Clinton and James Patterson. Now,
I love that you picked this.
the cool thing about this book is you know that neither of these guys wrote it.
Yep. Some other guy did.
Somebody else wrote it. And then they both like had their assistants read it and sign off on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is this a prequel to My Date with the President's Daughter?
Who knows? Well, we can read the synopsis inside. But
Yeah. This might be the book that I'm like having to decide like, is this gonna knock Freedom Land from the end of my
yeah.
list? Probably not.
So
We'll see.
Bill Clinton documented offender,
Yes.
and James Patterson documented kind of fake author at this point.
Yeah.
And so really a powerhouse of selling a book to get money here. Matthew Keating. Now, I think Matthew Keating was the president in the first one. A one-time Navy SEAL, yeah, and past president, has always defended his family as staunchly as he has his country. Now those defenses are under attack. A madman abducts Keating's teenage daughter, Melanie, turning every parent's deepest fear into a matter of national security. As the world watches in real time, Keating embarks on a one-man special ops mission that tests his strengths as a leader, a warrior, and a father. The author's first collaboration, The President is Missing, is the #1 New York Times bestseller and the #1 best-selling novel of 2018. That's crazy. Was praised as, quote, ambitious and wildly readable, wildly readable, and
Um,
a fabulously entertaining thriller.
Maxwell,
Yes.
you skipped over something so important,
Oh, sorry.
which is the blurb every detail is accurate because one of the authors is President Bill Clinton.
So true.
This is such a male fantasy
It totally is.
where, okay, you are like the first male fantasy here is that the president would be a former Navy SEAL. That you would have a president that has some level of
Totally.
physical acumen. Like, in what reality?
I know it
When was the
wasn't the
last time
only
that was
like
true?
army guy that like every time an army guy like John Kerry or John McCain run for president, they get like they lose by it. It's done.
They want the president to be tactical so bad, and he's
Yeah.
just not.
Yeah.
He's just not. So that's fantasy number one.
Yeah.
Um, then obviously there's the fantasy of like I'm gonna save my daughter and the country at the same time. But
That's
like
what
I guess
happens in
that's
the
just being
first
a
season
book.
of 24. The show about
Oh
how it's
yeah,
okay to
yeah.
torture people and how everybody wants to steal your daughter. But yes, this is absolutely. I mean, having just watching like the one of the Taken movies again, like this is the
Hmm.
ideal like middle-aged man, usually with no daughter or with a bad relationship with his daughter for
Yeah,
fantasy. It's to like if my daughter, I would do anything to get my daughter back. You know, like you don't even
yeah.
know what I'm capable of. If you hurt my fucking family. Uh, and so we get to experience that here. I don't believe that Bill Clinton has that dog in him, though, at
No,
all. If Chelsea
no
got
way.
kidnapped,
Okay,
yeah,
so is it better to read a book where the content is racist
right.
or to read a book by Bill Clinton?
It's a great question.
And I kind of feel now, okay, the thing is, if my dad asked me to read this, I would. And if my dad
Hmm.
asked me to read Freedom Land, I might pretend like I did.
Okay. If your dad asked you
But
to read this book, you'd read it.
if he was
I
like,
would
I
love a
read this,
report.
because my dad loves James Patterson. And if he was like, I read this on like my last trip and it was really good and like he really wanted me to read it,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah.
So, but I really don't want to. So I might put this at number eight because if I was reading Freedom Land, I would probably be really like every few chapters be like, can you believe he said this? But this one's
Yeah.
not going to have that element to it, you know?
No, definitely. I can tell you just by holding it, it's long.
That's the other thing. You know it's long.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Um, yeah. You know, just like, yeah. But I like that you picked this though.
It's
Good find.
it was I couldn't believe that they made another one. Honestly, but I guess if it's a bestseller, you gotta. Okay, let's go ahead. Here we go. The Neon Graveyard. The final sign of the zodiac.
What?
This is where
Okay.
the living will be buried alive. Now you can see in the back there's a cocktails. So you know,
So, you know how like you could show like I could show you two like different shades of green and you'd be like, "Well, they're both green." Like when I was getting rid of yarn and you were like, "You have two yarns that are the same." And I'm like, "Well, no, they're different."
I
You
feel
remember
like
this?
I'm the pickier one between colors.
Well, I'm remembering a specific instance with the yarn.
Okay.
But the point I'm making here is you might look at this and When Darkness Ends and think that the covers are, you know, more or less equitable. But the thing is, they're not.
You underestimate me, Emily. I would not
Okay.
have picked both of them if I thought that were true.
That's a good point. Um, her tiny leather vest with a dagger is so silly to me. Um, and I don't like the title either.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
One of these I think is meant to appeal to one group and one's meant to appeal to another group.
Does this appeal to you?
I would say that it's more meant to than the other one, you know?
I
Like I look at
understand.
that guy, is like look on in his eyes and his sweater, and I go, "What? Come on," you know.
Okay, well, I guess I'll hold out my total judgment until I read the back.
I stand like
But
this.
you're also forgetting that I'm bi, and so
No, I'm not. I'm
I
not.
am a
I'm
good
saying a
judge.
different. That's why I said like a different population, not like a different
Okay.
like yeah orientation. Don't get
Hmm.
it twisted. I'm saying like I think any girl would look at this and think the way that she's standing and looking and dressed is ridiculous. That's the
That's,
difference.
I see. This is the male gaze.
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Um, so I'll just go ahead and say that I think that her sword looks weak. I like
Yes.
cool swords, and I think that this sword looks weak. But I am intrigued.
Do you think she's a biker?
Well, let's find out, shall we?
Okay.
Now, this is, I think, the author, I guess.
It must be because it's not the girl.
Emily Vicky Peterson is a voice, or Pedersen is a voice that needs to be heard. You
Thank
know,
you, Kim,
they
whoever
say
you are.
they say a lot about the voices of marginalized people and how they need to be
Hmm.
heard. Vicky Pedersen, first in line. Once she was a soldier for the Light, capital L, the prophesied savior who would decide the outcome of the eternal conflict raging unseen in the dark corners of her glittering hometown. Now, Joanna Archer is just another mortal, still born of an impossible union of shadow and light, still hunted by both, and carrying the unborn child of a lover held captive by a depraved demon goddess. Joining forces with a band of rogue shadow agents, Joanna is ready to storm the stronghold of her demonic foe, risking everything to enter this ghastly, godforsaken realm where the price of admission is her eternal soul. Because in a world that has stripped her of her power, identity, and fortune, Joanna has nothing left to lose, except her baby, her future, and the epic war poised to consume the city.
She's pregnant?
And she's pregnant. The die is cast, and the battle is on for the sordid soul of Vegas.
Oh, Vegas?
Yeah.
This is happening in Las Vegas.
This is happening in
Okay.
Vegas. Well, it's the neon, it's the neon
Neon
graveyard. I
Graveyard.
don't want
It's
to.
so funny to me that because this reads as YA, but I'm like, I feel like YA wouldn't have a pregnant protagonist. And you know
Yeah.
what? I don't know. Like, that is a unique take. I don't read a lot of books where the protagonist is pregnant the whole time, not just as like a plot device.
I don't
She
know.
probably
Well,
gives birth at some point.
this definitely does not seem like a one-off book.
Oh.
I get the feeling. I would say that this is
Hmm.
she's a New York Times bestseller.
Oh.
The Final Sign of the Zodiac is what it says
Yeah,
under the
maybe
Neon
Sign
Graveyard.
of the
So
Zodiac is like the the
yeah, yeah.
series.
So it's the
Um,
light. It's the light versus the shadow. Pretty
I
good.
am not very likely to read this.
Yeah.
It seems like it would not be very good. But this might surprise you, but I'm actually gonna. Hmm, dang. I just feel like this would just be bad. So I'm actually gonna put this under backslash.
Okay.
Oh God. There's only one more.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of scared.
And then you can do a little post edit and we'll lock them in. You know.
Okay.
All right. The Rosie Effect.
The Rosie Effect.
And give this guy your best pronunciation on his name.
Grammy Simison. Was it good?
I don't think you got the letters in the right order.
Um, this seems like 500 Days of Summer Core, but
Okay, twee.
also it's twee. Thank you. Because I was going to say also Stargirl, which is twee but for kids.
Okay, alrighty. Let's go ahead and see
Um,
if you're right, because
yeah.
I would love to flip on that note, you know? Um,
Yeah.
okay. Until recently, genetics professor Don Tillman had never had a second date. Then he got serious about finding a life partner, creating a 16-page questionnaire, see the Rosie Project, to identify the perfect match. Instead, he fell in love with Rosie Jarman, the world's most incompatible woman. Now they have survived 10 months and 10 days of marriage. Though the fiery Rosie has taught him the joys of unscheduled sex and spontaneous meal planning, Don is still learning the principles of optimal cohabitation. He is certainly not prepared for the mother of all surprises. Rosie is unexpectedly expecting. Is Don ready to become the man he always dreamed of being, or will he revert to his old ways and lose Rosie forever?
Uh, Spontaneous meal planning. Let's meal
Yeah.
plan right now.
I feel like unscheduled meal planning and spontaneous sex makes a lot more sense than unscheduled sex and spontaneous meal planning.
Absolutely. Oh my
um,
gosh.
so this is written
So
by a
it really
guy
is what we thought.
also. It is, I guess, in a way, yeah, because, yeah, Summer in that is kind of like, oh, she's so crazy. Like,
It's Manic
Manic
Pixie
Pixie.
Dream
Yeah,
Girl.
yeah.
And this is just the part two where he got her. They're
He got her.
married.
Yeah.
She's fiery, but she's pregnant.
The Rosie effect.
Um, oh my God, this sounds well, actually, I was gonna say it sounds like insufferable, but it probably isn't because I read a book kind of like this, but from a woman's perspective, where she was like really awkward and kind of like stilted in the way that it seems like he is. Really, I'm deciding if I'm more or less likely to read this or Citizen Girl, and actually, when I say that, I'm way more likely to read Citizen Girl because I also feel like it's short.
Yeah, that's
So
probably
this
true.
this goes
Backslash.
under
Okay, yeah.
Citizen Girl.
Okay.
And
Um,
I think with that, I must I must move when darkness ends. I really didn't
where
think it
would
was
you
gonna
like to
hang out at the
place it?
top. I think for now I'm just gonna swap that and Gold Diggers. I think I'm most likely to read Gold Diggers because it looks like a real book. And after that I would read When Darkness Ends before I would read Dissident Gardens because I think that I know what I'm getting into with When Darkness Ends, and like I'm not expecting it to be good, but I feel like Dissident Gardens is like trying to be a good book, and I feel like it might not be.
Okay. What?
Okay, I'm gonna hold on. I'm just thinking, but I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm gonna say it's
We're
done.
locking it in because we're gonna score him at
I'm
the end. You
locked
know.
in.
Okay. Cool. Um,
Our
let's go
turn.
ahead. Yeah. Our. So the Silent Patient. This is your first one here. So this is a real book. This is a #1 New York Times bestseller.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that much about it. I know it's supposed to be very good. I'm sure that somebody at some point has told me to read it, and I've never ever probably read a book that somebody has told me to read ever, um,
Hmm.
except for Moby Dick, honestly, and maybe like Infinite Jest, uh,
Hmm.
or unless a professor told me to read it. So I really don't know. I feel like most things that are #1 New York Times bestsellers are not something that I would like, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh,
So before we go, do you want? I can read the backs of these books.
Sure, that's great. I'll just flip to it, and you just let
Um,
me know when you're ready.
Yes, but go back. Do you have any thoughts about the cover? Like, what does this
True.
say to you?
This says that though she is silent, she is speaking, and
Okay.
because there is a tear and her mouth is open, uh, if it's a she, which I believe it is. Um, this also says that it's maybe kind of a dark. There's some distress in this story. I'm surprised I don't
Hmm.
know more about it. I think have you read it, Emily?
I have, and I actually talked about it on the podcast.
Interesting. And I think my mom's read it too. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay, so
All right.
give it to me.
Alicia Baronson's life is seemingly perfect until one night when her husband Gabriel returns home late from work and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another
Damn.
word.
That's dope.
Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into a mystery that captures the public imagination. And she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids at The Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband will take him down a path more unexpected and more terrifying than he ever imagined.
Okay, so I just have a feeling that this book is more boring than it's selling itself as right off the bat.
Hmm.
That's just a feeling I have. I will say that, I generally like crime thriller type media. And I know this is going to go at number one anyway, but I'm not so put off by this. But the fact that it's the number one New York Times bestseller means that, like, people thought, like, it was, like, quote unquote important. And whenever somebody thinks something's important, I usually think that it's kind of dumb. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna, I gotta slap it on my list here.
Yes.
Um, oh, hold
It's
on.
a real book, like at least there's
Yeah,
that.
but I don't even know, like, if I would like that. Like, I'm thinking of, like, I'm watching Reacher right now, Emily.
Hmm.
Like, that's barely a real show. And I like that much better than what, like, a lot of people say are, like, the good shows right now. So who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? Should I move on?
Yeah.
All right. This is a great cover.
Yeah. You like
Yeah,
that?
I love this cover. Are you kidding me? Diary of an Oxygen Thief by Anonymous. So good. The end of the broom looks like his little wiener.
I literally was looking at that and I don't think it's the end of the broom. I think it is like a carrot.
That's so funny. Okay. Well, first of all, unbelievably disturbing cover, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, what the hell is this? Okay. I really,
You can tell that I
yeah.
found this in the A section, because
Yeah,
it's
anonymous.
anonymous.
Yeah, that's good. We did divide it alphabetically, so. All right, go ahead and give me the
Okay. Hurt people hurt people.
amen.
Say Holden Caulfield was an
This
alcoholic.
sucks so bad. So, I'm sorry. Bro, come on. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Say Holden Caulfield was an alcoholic and Lolita was a photographer's assistant, and somehow they met in Bright Light's big city. He's blinded by love, she by ambition. Diary of an Oxygen Thief is an honest, hilarious, and heart-rending novel, but above all, a very realistic account of what we do to each other and what we allow to have done to us.
Wow. Sounds unbelievably. Oh, New York Magazine says kinky, artsy, horrible. This is my nightmare book, I think. Say Holden
Um,
Caulfield and Lolita, like invoking Catcher in the Rye and Lolita and being like, what about a take on these again? And
I also like this blurb. First, he steals the oxygen from you, then he spits it right back in your
that's
face.
so awesome. Yeah, this is gonna sit at the bottom for a minute, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the only thing is it's
Okay.
very short.
Man, I don't know.
Just saying.
It could be there's probably there's a short 350 and there's a long 150, you know?
That's so true.
Um that sounds absolutely brutal. Yeah. The author does a great job. I love it. First he steals the Dark Horse Williamsburg bestseller. F. Scott Fitzgerald for the iPad generation. It's ass. It's awful. All right, I'm moving on. That was horrible. Okay. Finlay Donovan rolls the dice. Well, I gotta say, like you said about one earlier, Emily, very kind of trendy cover here. That sort
Hmm.
of 2D animation by El Cosimano. But not the exact same like blue and yellow color scheme that you see over and over. It just looks like one of those books.
And
Should I
sort
go
of a
ahead?
trendy title too.
I don't know that. I feel like I don't read anything that modern that's not like
Mm.
uber literary. So I don't come across this stuff as often as you do, like on like Book Talk or Reddit or however you
Hmm.
come by some of this. I don't
Yeah.
really see it.
I feel like there's a lot of titles that are sort of like first last name, then like almost a whole sentence where it's like
Okay.
there's like Eleanor Oliphant is perfectly fine. Um,
Okay.
Where'd you go, Bernadette? Carrie Soto is back. Like this. They're all different books,
Okay, so it's
but
it's kind of like this initial cover says like this is tropey and part of a genre of these types of
Mhm.
things. I also get the feeling, her driving in the car, throwing the dice out the window really invokes a feeling of like I'm a woman who's finally taking my life into my own hands and going out on the
Mm.
road. Um,
Hmm.
would you mind?
Okay. Yes. Finley Donovan and her nanny slash partner in crime, Vero, are in sore need of a girls' weekend getaway. They plan a trip to Atlantic City, but since it's actually a cover story to negotiate a deal with a dangerous loan shark, save Vero's childhood crush, Javi, and hunt down a stolen luxury car, the odds are it won't be all fun and games. When Finley's ex husband, Stephen, and her mother insist on tagging along, Finley and Vero suddenly have a few too many meddlesome passengers along for the ride. Within hours of arriving at their seedy casino hotel, it becomes clear that their rescue mission is going to be a bust. Javi's kidnapper, Marco, refuses to negotiate, demanding payment in full exchange for Javi's life. Finlay and Vero are forced to come up with a new plan, sleuth out the location of Javi and Aston Martin, and steal them both back. Oh, sorry, the Aston Martin.
Yeah.
But when they sneak into the loan shark suite to search for clues, they find more than they bargained for. Marco's already dead. They don't have a clue who murdered him, only that they themselves have a very convincing motive. Then, four members of the police department unexpectedly show up in town, and after Finley's night with a hot cop Nick at the police academy, he's a little too eager to keep her close to his side. If Finlay can juggle a jealous ex-husband, two precocious kids, her mother's marital issues, and a decomposing loan shark, and find Vera's missing boyfriend, sorry, but boyfriend, she might get out of Atlantic City in one piece. But will she fold under the pressure and come clean about the things she's done, or be forced to double down?
I was not even laughing at your mispronunciation. I was laughing at that sentence. That's
Okay.
anybody should mess up that sentence.
Is
Wow,
this
what
not
a plot.
so,
Full of plot.
yeah,
Plenty of plot. Sorry, not so what?
so convoluted?
So convoluted. I can't imagine keeping this all in my head and caring about each element of it along the way. It sounds like a lot of work on my end for something that I probably won't like. Emily, I'll just go ahead and compliment though. Whose nail is that
Oh,
in
oh,
this
that nail?
photo? How could you
What?
possibly get an effect like that?
With a paperclip, baby.
And a magnet?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll put this one in the middle for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was it called? Finlay. What's her last name?
Donovan rolls the dice, but you can just,
I'll come on.
oh, it just fits. And it's only one end, so you get a little more space back.
Oh, nice, perfect. Thank you.
And this is, I guess, a part of the Finley Donovan series,
Oh, I'm
is what I
sure it is. Are
gather.
you kidding me? Of course it is. Can't have just one story about Finley Donovan. She's getting up to so much.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel pretty bad about that one. That seems
Confident.
pretty bad. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel confident in my current placement, but
Hmm.
okay. Now this is a good book. Now this is what I'm talking about. Bark to the Future. Ah, this rocks. Okay, hold on. Wait, Stephen King? Without a doubt, the most original mystery series currently available. Somehow, I don't doubt that. A Chet and Bernie mystery. Okay.
This is the cover that I kept just laughing about.
Yeah, I think I like came by the aisle, right, while you were laughing about this one.
Maybe.
Wow, what a title. What a picture. And I love that the dog is obviously photoshopped in.
Mhm.
I love getting a Stephen King blurb is not that difficult these days. I mean, he must do them like the way that somebody like buys a cameo, you know? There's no
Yeah.
way Stephen King read Bark to the Future. There can't be any way, right? That's why he said original instead of good. Like he's not even willing to say that.
Yeah, he's not lying. You know,
Right.
something that I like about this cover is like, let's say you have like the pieces to build a cover. You have the background image, you have the subject, and then you have the title box. These, I would never have put them together in this way.
Yeah, it's like insert template.
Yes, it's
Like just
like
like yeah.
the background does not go with the title, and the subject does not go with the background.
Right. Yeah. This is always what I'm so scared of when I'm in Canva is to just make it look like I did something like this.
Yeah, this was made in Canva. All right, you ready?
I'm so ready. Please give it to me.
When Chet the dog, quote, the most lovable narrator in all of crime fiction, and his human partner, PI Bernie Little, are approached by a down and out older man with a cardboard sign at an exit ramp, Bernie is shocked to discover the man is a former teammate from his high school baseball team. Chet and Bernie take Rocket out for a good meal, and later, Bernie investigates Rocket's past, trying to figure out exactly what went wrong. Then, Rocket goes suspiciously missing.
No.
With his former teammate likely in danger, Bernie goes back to his old high school for answers, where much that he remembers turns out not to be true, and there are powerful and dangerous people not happy with the questions Bernie is asking. Bernie soon
Bernie Cern loons.
Bernie soon. Bernie.
You got it.
No. Bernie soon learns that he misunderstood much about his high school years, and now Chet and Bernie are plunged into a dangerous case where the past isn't dead and the future could be fatal.
Well, I think this sounds adorable, even if a little childish and off the wall.
Hmm.
I don't think this is a difficult read. I think it's crazy that it's selling for $27 US. Um,
Yeah.
I, but I also, I don't think it would like be painful to read. I just think it would be not good, but probably be like so goofy it was entertaining.
Yeah.
So
Can I ask a side question to
sure,
you?
yeah,
If I gave you the names Bernie, Chet, and Rocket, and gun to your head,
totally.
you have to tell me
I
which
had the
one is
exact
a
same thought.
dog.
I had the exact same thought. When yeah, like when it's like Rocket goes missing, I was like, Rocket's not the dog, right?
Rocket's the human.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Bark to the Future actually as my number 2 read here.
Nice. I want to like look at my list. I feel like
No,
not
don't,
going
because I kind of
horrible.
forgot mine a little bit, and I feel like it like kept
Okay.
me from skewing you. Like I remembered like what I put as first and last and
Hmm.
everything, but okay. Bastard Out of Carolina. All right, this is immediately just based off this cover. This is number 1. I like this photograph. I like this pink color. I like the name a lot. I love the word bastard. I think it's pretty funny. And I also love the
Hmm.
word Carolina, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
So I like this one so far.
Nice. All right, you rent the back?
Yeah.
Greenville County, South Carolina, is a wild, lush place of black walnut trees and weeping willows, of sweet tea served on shaded porches. It's also home to the Boatwright family, rough-hewn men who drink hard and shoot up each other's trucks, and indomitable women who marry young and age all too quickly. At the heart of this astonishing novel is Ruth Ann Boatwright, known simply as Bone, a South Carolina bastard with an annotated birth certificate to tell the tale. Observing everything with the mercilessly keen eye of a child, Bone finds herself caught in a family triangle that will test the loyalty of her mother, Annie. Her stepfather, Daddy Glenn, calls Bone cold as death, mean as a snake, and twice as twisty, yet Annie needs Glenn like a strong woman needs meat between her teeth. At first gentle with Bone, Daddy Glenn becomes steadily colder and more furious until their final harrowing encounter from which there can be no turning back.
This sounds right up my alley generally. This, you talked about Elmore Leonard earlier. This sounds like the closest we've
Mm-hmm.
gotten to an Elmore Leonard type story. Um, I will say the two quotes that are included here give me pause as to the quality of the prose.
Mm-hmm.
Cold as
Well, they're
Death.
also from South Carolina.
I know, but the writer is still a writer, you know? Cold as Death, mean as a snake, and twice as twisty, and then Like a Strong Woman. Like, those are both, like, kind of contrived similes.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes me a little bit nervous, but I still that carries a lot of weight for me, honestly. And so this probably would have been my number one, but having had a glimpse into the actual writing, I think it'll be my number two. All About Women. This is a fiction book.
Um,
You found it in the fiction section, right? I
I
mean,
did.
I'm starting to doubt though.
Yeah, that's actually true because it was in the fiction section, but
It does say it's a
uh
novel. It does say it's a novel.
okay.
Okay.
It says fiction on the tag too.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and go back and say that this looks bad. It brings me back to that old Conor Oberst quote of this world is full of missing persons, all those unsolved mysteries. If someone says they know for certain, they're selling something certainly. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
if somebody claims to know all about women, they might know very little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Oh sorry. It is a novel.
yeah, yeah. I saw on the back that it was. Yeah. Um, yeah, this looks pretty bad. But if you wouldn't mind giving me the
I
details
would
here.
love to. Countless readers have been delighted by Father Andrew M. Greeley's best-selling novels. Now he turns his enormous narrative gifts to the passionate, haunting subject of the American woman, searching for and often finding love and faith. There's teenage Rosemary coming to grips with the evil of the 20th century, or is it the evil in the human heart? Peggy, whose widowhood plunges her into the cold of loneliness. Rita, whose marriage is rich and fulfilling, except at its core. Laura, torn between three lovers, one of them a seminarian. Julie, haunted by something that happened long ago. Siona Marie, an imp diving passionately into adulthood. And Patricia, caught in a web she may not have the power to break.
This that was like maybe one of the shortest ones we've gotten so far, and it was like the least I've been able to like hang, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was, like I
Um,
got it all, but it sounds really insufferable to me. Man, jeez, this sounds pretty rough. It does. It sounds worse than Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. And probably I think the Oxygen Thief sounds like the worst book I've ever heard of. But I do also like kind of wonder if I would almost like if I were going to go back and grab one of them off the shelf and actually read it. Oops. Um, I would probably pick the Oxygen Thief before I picked this one, just because of the cover, like the pure,
mhm.
actual, crazy, insane, weird cover. So I'm gonna put All About Women last right now. I don't think that I would find much in there entertaining, even as far as like being a bad book, you know.
Hmm.
Emily, do you want to explain why I'm laughing?
Maxwell has like, well, I you can't even call it a theory because it's out there, but there are so many titles with like the words pretty and or little and or small thing, any combination of those
Yeah,
big little lies, little fires everywhere, small silent things,
there
all
are
of
so
these
many
words.
small and little things, and lots of them
Hmm.
happen to also be pretty. This is like the most just. It's like no publication is looking to stand out from the one next to it, and I don't understand. They're like the most like SEO terms almost, but also not because they're so vague. I don't
Hmm.
really understand it. But Pretty Little Wife is hilarious. Like my pretty little wife.
I literally think that she like Gaston says that in Beauty and the Beast.
Really?
Like, yeah.
What's the blurb say? Domestic suspense at its best, with a chilling premise that keeps you guessing to the last page. That
There's
sounds
more than
pretty.
one way to end a marriage. So what do you think based on the cover?
Somebody kills somebody, probably she kills him.
Mm,
She's not just a
mm-hmm.
pretty little wife. I'm guessing there's a little bit more edge to her than that.
Okay, should we find out?
Yes, let's.
Shouldn't a dead husband stay dead? Lila Ridgefield lives in idyllic college town, but not everything is what it seems. Lila isn't what she seems. A student vanished months ago. Now, Lila's husband, Aaron, is also missing. At first, these cases are treated as horrible coincidences, until it's discovered that the student is really the third of three unexplained disappearances over the last few years. The police are desperate to find the connection, if there even is one. Little do they know they might be stumbling over only part of the truth. With the small town in an uproar, everyone is worried about the whereabouts of the beloved high school teacher. Everyone except his wife. Lila is more confused because she was the last person to see her husband's body, and now it's gone.
Interesting. I feel like even the back might be misleading because I'm pretty convinced of the original plot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I love a good, investigation, but I dislike a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
True.
and so let me look at my list real quick here. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna put this probably. This is gonna go on one or the other side of. Oh, I don't know. Three and four are kind of close to each other right now, honestly. I think I'm gonna put this maybe ahead of Finley Donovan or Rolls of the Dice, actually, because it is a detect. It is there is a case. There is a case to be solved here,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's probably fairly straightforward. That said, I might get bored with this in a way I wouldn't with Finley Donovan, but this is already a long ass episode, honestly. So make
Is
some
it really?
decisions. Yeah, Emily, we've been recording for an hour and 20 minutes. Um,
Dang.
but I will say, Pretty
Maybe
Little
10 books is a
Wife.
lot.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Pretty. No, I'm gonna put it below it. I can't because it sounds like so much is happening in the other one, and I can see this one getting
Hmm.
really boring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm gonna put that one right there. The Only Woman in the Room. All right, I like a title like this.
Hmm.
This is very pulpy, very like Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett, the Thin Man. Sort of vibes to the title. It evokes a sort of noir feeling with the dark lipstick and the pearls here. Um, I do have a feeling that this is a book about being smart because of the chalkboard style designs.
Mm-hmm.
And that puts me off a little bit because I don't really like stuff where it's like, what if there was a genius?
Mm.
And they were sad or or struggled still.
Well, do you
uh,
notice that blurb at the bottom?
Dios it is. Oh yeah, Carnegie's Maid and the Other Einstein. Now you read the Other Einstein, so I feel like this is a little
I
bit of a cheat for
did.
me here. Is that it's historical fiction that makes you get mad at a person who actually existed. It's
Yes,
feminist. It's historical fiction that repaints history to like deliver a message about how some woman was, unfairly discriminated against.
yes.
That's
And I want to
weird
be
to me.
careful. I want to be careful because, like, that makes it sound like we're against feminist literature, which is not the case. But
I
I
don't
read
think
the
it makes
other
it sound like that.
Einstein.
I feel like people who get it will get it.
Yeah. I read the other Einstein, and it makes you so mad at Albert Einstein, and it also makes you think that it's a completely true story when it's not. It was like she invented the theory of relativity, and it's like, well,
Yeah, if it's like that one, this one's gonna go fairly low, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll flip to
yeah.
the back here.
Okay. She possessed a stunning beauty. This almost certainly saved her from the rising Nazi party and led to marriage with an Austrian arms dealer. She also possessed a stunning mind. Underestimated, she overheard the Third Reich's plan while at her husband's side,
Whoa.
understanding more than anyone would guess. She devised a plan to flee in disguise from their castle, and the whirlwind escape landed her in Hollywood. She became Hedy Lamarr, screen star. But she kept a
Wow.
secret even more shocking than her heritage or her marriage. She was a scientist, and she knew a few secrets about the enemy. She had an idea that might help the country fight the Nazis if anyone would listen to her. Could the world handle both her beauty and her mind?
Well, I will say that it doesn't sound terrible. It sounds like there's a lot going on, and it sounds like it's also in a way that, like, in particular areas that I like. I like old Hollywood. I just read that book, the Elmore Leonard book, Up in Honey's Room, that I liked. That was like a
Hmm.
World War II, like post World War II novel, or no, during and like spies on American soil and all of that. So I'm gonna put this one up there. I think this is like a
Hmm.
plausible read. Honestly,
Now,
yeah. Go ahead.
oh, I wanted to tell you something. Not to, this doesn't hopefully sway you at all, but I Googled Hedy Lamarr and she's a real person. So this is a
I
true
don't think that you should
story.
tell me that.
Oh, well, you're supposed to know that it's true.
I'm supposed to. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
You
then I'll
know,
tell you later
I'm
what
judging
she
it on its
invented.
cover. Okay, cool. I'm gonna
Oh,
go ahead and
true.
put this at. This is number one for me right now.
All right.
Yeah, I feel like I prefer to read that than The Silent Patient, probably.
All right. Next, we're
Okay.
almost at the end.
Oops. Annie Freeman's Fabulous Traveling Funeral. Sounds pretty not like it sounds it does not sound good to me. I don't like the font. I do like the car and I don't mind a pair of chucks, but the color scheme I feel like is a little bit overplayed right now, which makes me think it's also like getting in on something. And I don't like anything like that, like the fabulous or like the wonderful or anything like that in the title. I just feel like is like trying to color the entire thing a little bit much for me, and is usually being like a little bit sarcastic unless it's like a Roald Dahl book.
Yeah.
Even the Roald Dahl books actually are a little sarcastic. So, yeah, I guess that's my take on that.
All right.
All right, give
All
it to
right.
me.
For Catherine Givens and the four women about to become her best friends, the adventure begins with a UPS package. Inside is a pair of red sneakers filled with ashes and a note that will forever change their lives. Catherine's oldest and dearest friend, the irrepressible Annie Freeman, left one final request, a traveling funeral, and she wants the most important women in her life as pallbearers. From Sonoma to Manhattan, Catherine, Laura, Rebecca, Jill, and Marie will carry Annie's ashes to the special places in her life. At every stop, there's a surprise encounter and a small miracle waiting. And as they whoop it up across the country, attracting interest wherever they go, they share their deepest secrets. Tales of broken hearts and second chances, missed opportunities and new beginnings. And as they grieve over what they've lost, they discover how much is still possible if only they can unravel the secret Annie left them.
This might surprise you, but this doesn't. This sounds pretty good to me.
Hmm.
I like things that are kind of structured in this way, where it's almost like episodic. I talk a lot about the structure of Eric Gambler's A Coffin for Demetrios, where they like go from like place to place and have like a new interaction and new conversation and experience, and it almost you know, 8 chapters feels like one, and then you move on to a completely
Hmm.
new thing. I like that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. I also like, I don't hate slice of life stuff so long as it's interesting, and I like it this being kind of centered around somebody's like death.
Hmm.
So that sounds decent to me. Also, it's Catherine
Hmm.
Givens, so it could be like a relative of Raylan Givens for all I know.
That's true.
I might put the second
All right.
Annie Freeman's Fabulous Traveling Funeral. Yeah, even just based off
The
of
book you want to read the most. Would you ever mail your ashes in a pair of sneakers if they were LeBron's?
well, I was thinking about this. One of my this is going to go off the screen, but one of my favorite movies growing up was Like Mike,
Yeah.
which was, a movie about an orphan who gets Michael Jordan's sneakers and then gets struck by lightning while holding them and dangling from a electrical line, from a power line, and gets Michael Jordan abilities every time he puts the sneakers on and gets to go to the NBA.
Hmm.
And so, while that is not what happens in this story, it does invoke Like Mike vibes to me. And so I don't think that that's not something I would do.
All right.
Oh my God. Wow. Newt Gingrich and Peter Early. Tiny name. At least James Patterson gets freaking equal, like, namespace. I guess
We
he's
just
just.
have this brain link, you and me.
Were you thinking the same thing?
No, but when I saw The President's Daughter, immediately I was like, I have vengeance on my list.
Vengeance by Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich, a famous, uh, another one of these freak politicians who famously left his wife on her deathbed for a younger woman. Not even the worst thing he's done.
Mhm.
And yeah, probably anything that he co-signs is revolting to me. So let's. Oh my God, that's so much to read about this. All right, Emily.
Okay. A terrorist drives an explosive-packed rental truck into Major Brooke Grant's Washington, D.C. wedding. Okay, I'm sorry. Butchered
That's
that.
okay.
I thought each was like part of his name. A terrorist drives an explosive packed rental truck into Major Brooke Grant's Washington, D.C. wedding, intending to detonate a deadly bomb on the happiest day of her life. Saved by a last minute fluke, Brooke seeks revenge against the master terrorist responsible, an international radical Islamist known only as the Falcon, who is determined to murder her, bring America to its knees, and create a modern day caliphate.
Okay.
An
And he gets
unorthodox
close.
new yeah. He wants to murder her so bad. An unorthodox, newly sworn in president recruits Brooke to join a clandestine CIA team in pursuit of the Falcon. With help from an with help from an odd coupling, a Saudi intelligence officer and an Israeli Mossad agent, Brooke goes after her elusive zealot nemesis. But before the trio can close in on their target, they discover that America's worst nightmare has come true.
Well, I do see that below. It says it's a realistic thriller, which I doubt. Um, but who could ever, who amongst us could root against the CIA, the Saudis, and the Israelis when they all team up together?
Hmm.
Yeah, this sounds like a book born of pure evil, from the heart of an evil man, who is racist, particularly against the Muslim world. And that said, I feel like this will be a good one to report back to the homies on. You know, be
Hmm.
like, I read freaking Newt Gingrich's book, but no, honestly, man, I don't know. Like, I watched like a lot of like bad media for the sake of like consuming it to understand it. And so it's like that's the only thing keeping it from being number 10 to me.
Hmm.
Like I've seen 24 and the plot of that is probably not that different from this. Uh
Second 24 reference on the ep.
yeah, yeah. Well, we've had a couple of these. And I would say that I might put this just before All About Women.
All right. Um, Now, as a special treat, there is an excerpt from this book
Okay,
on
is
the
that
next slide.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Can you read this?
Yeah. 9 millimeter rounds shattered the truck's glass side windows. Basro was struck twice in his left leg, but he managed to keep his right foot pressed against the accelerator. The second Secret Service agent ran adjacent to the truck, firing his submachine gun. Another slug hit Basra's left shoulder, rendering it useless. Oh, it rendered it, huh? As if from nowhere, a black armored SUV appeared midway down the street, flying from its hiding place inside a parking garage. It slammed into Basra's truck, knocking the rental sideways and bringing it to a halt. With his good right hand, a critically wounded Basra mumbled a final Aloha bar and punched the button attached to the steering wheel, sending an electrical jolt to a detonator. A blinding white light was followed by a deafening boom and a shockwave. The devastation was immediate and cataclysmic. That doesn't shake my placement at all. That's basically exactly what I thought was in this book.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Man, people really write this. I mean, or ask other people too. All right, Emily, shall we score?
Yeah, let's score.
So I actually had Gold Diggers at number 1.
Okay.
When Darkness Ends, I actually had at number 5.
Okay.
So that is a -3 for me because it's at number 2.
Okay.
Dissident Gardens, I had at number 2, so I'm only 1 off there. So that's a -1 for me. The Kai Show, I had at number 4. So I was correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Citizen Girl, I had at number 3. So that is a -2. Let's see. The Rosie Effect, I actually had at number 8. So that is a -2 as well. And then Backslash, I had, at number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So pretty close there. That's a -1. Then the Neon Graveyard, I had at number 7. So that's a -1.
Okay.
Then Freedom Land, I had at number 10. So that's a -1. And The President's Daughter had at number 9. So that's a -1.
All right. You did pretty good. So
I did
can you
pretty
just
good.
read it like your list?
Sure, yeah. I had Gold Diggers, Dissident Gardens, Citizen Girl, The Kaisho, When Darkness Ends, Backslash, The Neon Graveyard, The Rosie Effect, The President's Daughter, and Freedom Land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. That was like really close. Okay, so you
Pretty
got an
close. Yeah, not bad.
88.
88. Nice. B+. We'll just go from the top. Where did you have The Woman in the Room for me?
I had that at number 5.
Wow. Okay. Big off the bat. That's a -4 for you.
Yeah.
Um, Annie Freeman?
Yeah. I had it number 8.
Dang. So -6. Uh-oh. The Silent Patient?
I had it number 2.
So -1. Bastard Out of Carolina.
Bastard. I had that at number 1. I thought you were going to want to read it.
It was really the lines in there that made that not number 1. Content-wise, that seemed like the one I would have liked the most, but I care about the quality of writing more than anything else, really. Bark to the Future.
I had it number 3.
So -2 on that one. Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice.
I put that at number 9.
Okay, so -3 on that one.
I really thought you were not going to want to read that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Pretty Little Wife.
I put that at number 7.
Okay, so
So I got that one
-0.
right.
Yeah. The Oxygen Thief.
I put that at number 4.
Dang, okay. So -4 on that one. Vengeance.
Vengeance, I put at number 10.
Yeah, that's fair. And All About Women.
I put at number 6.
-3. Dang. This was a blowout victory, I think.
Yikes.
All right. So what are our mathematical results?
So you got an 88, and I got a 71. I know.
You
so I
don't
thought
know me.
I thought it would be Bastard Out of Carolina, Silent Patient, Bark to the Future, Oxygen Thief, Only Woman in the Room, All About Women. I was thinking kind of in an ironic way, you know. Pretty Little Wife, Traveling Funeral, Finley Donovan, and then Vengeance.
I get where you're coming from. I'm
Yeah,
just so particular about such
you are.
specific things that I understand it. But nevertheless, I win.
Good job.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us again.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you tomorrow.
I meant the audience.
Love you.
Bye. Love you too.